Man, already looking at these questions, like, this is such a mean tag. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing the first tag that I've done in quite some time, which is the Would You Rather Impossible Edition that was made by Jake, the Bookish Drummer. I will link his channel down below, and he tagged me in this. And so fun fact, I actually already filmed this video, and this would have already been out, but I did this and my audio was completely messed up. It just would cut out through large chunks of the video or get crazy quiet for no reason. So if you see me looking down a lot, I'm making sure that my audio is absolutely actually working this time because I don't want that to be repeated. But we're going to try it again. And take a look because I really haven't. I don't do tags too often anymore, but this one seemed like it'd be kind of a fun one. So it's not gonna hurt to do one here. But let's jump into it. So the first question is: would you rather only be able to reread your favorite book once every 10 years, or be forced to read your least favorite book once a year? And this is really hard because of the fact that I am a big rereader, and I've cut back. It'd been a few years since I'd done a full rereading Wheel of Time when I did my last rereading Wheel of Time. I did actually a fair amount of rereads this month, which a lot of that was just sporadic, kind of shorter things. I already know I'm going to be doing a lot of rereads of Wars of Light and Shadow. I still want to. Just got done doing a reread of Crown of Stars. I still want to do some Hob rereads and some other things. I have so many books that I want to reread. I had been doing rereads of Stormlight before all the new books came out and everything. So there's so many rereads, and so only being able to reread my favorite once every 10 years would really suck. But at the same time, if I had to read my least favorite book, I don't even know what specifically that would be, but none of the options are good. If I had to reread that every year, I just feel like I would stop reading eventually because I would hate having to do it and just doing it again and again, and it would just make me not want to read, and so I'd end up just not reading because I wouldn't want to read that book. So unfortunately, I think I would have to go with once every 10 years for favorite, because that's the lesser of two evils, I think, for sure. Number two, would you rather be forced to get rid of all your books by your favorite author, or get rid of your entire library besides your favorite author? So this is also super freaking rude. And it feels like this should be easy because, just get rid of the books by your favorite author. But see, the thing is, this might have used to be easier with Wheel of Time Robert Jordan, because I can get all those books. Barring the only one that I wouldn't be able to replace is my Barnes & Noble Leatherbound. They don't make that anymore, and they're expensive to try and find online. But all of the basic hardcovers absolutely could get easily, and it'd be no problem at all. But the current distinction is Janny Words, and I put so much work into finding these. Like, seriously, it was not easy to track down a lot of those. I got really lucky with finding some of them in great condition, and so I'm just like, I don't know that I would want to have to try to do that again and just hope that I'm lucky enough. I'm still not super happy with a couple of copies I have, and I would like to get better copies, but it's just like, that would be really terrible. So if, assuming special editions come out, then sure. I'll get rid of these. I'll get the special editions, give them to somebody else. But otherwise, I honestly think I would lean toward getting rid of the rest of my books, which is crazy. But assuming I can sell them, I feel like a lot of these I'd be able to make a pretty decent profit, and then hopefully get replacements back for the ones that I'd really want. And then the silver lining would be I would really have to prioritize only getting replacements for the books that I really, really want them for, and would not be able to just get everything. So it would be kind of like restarting my collection, which would be interesting because it'd give me a lot more room. So anyway, that's where I land there. Number three, would you rather only be able to read very short books, less than 300 pages, or very long books, like 700 pages? This is another one where I've really enjoyed reading some shorter books, but so many of my favorite books are longer, and so I do question, like, I have a lot of books in series that some of them are over 700 pages, but not all of them. So do they still count? Because I would hope that I'd be able to read, throughout the series, but just like, I don't feel like if I could only do short books, I just don't feel like that would work for me, because if I look at my favorite books, my favorite series, almost all of them are over 300 pages. There are some that are shorter, some books that I really enjoyed, but I love having short books and mixing it up, but I could not get rid of my long books, so I'd have to go with the long books. Number four, would you rather your favorite series Get a terrible adaptation or never be adapted. Yeah, I've learned my lesson as a Wheel of Time fan. I would just rather not be adapted at this point because I feel like that's better than actually having to have the terrible adaptation. So any of the books and series that I love, I just feel like some of them probably wouldn't work, and even if they would, I just would rather not because I feel like I'm inevitably going to be very disappointed. So yeah, I would just rather not have an adaptation at this point. I've learned my lesson. I used to be like, yeah, even if it's not the best, no, I'd rather just not have one. Number 5, would you rather an unfinished series have a terrible ending or remain unfinished forever? Now, I think that's interesting because I do have some unfinished series ongoing. The most recent one being Rune Lords, which I feel like I started that knowing it may never be finished, and it actually is going to be. There is somebody who's working on it, and it should be out in the next couple of years, I think. But I was okay with where it left. And you have your Gentleman Bastards, which also I'm okay where that left off too. I don't I'll read the books as they come out, but I'm also not clamoring because I feel like each one of those books was pretty self-contained, and there's definitely more mysteries and things to go, but it works. And the big ones, Name of the Wind, Song of Ice and Fire, I have no interest in, honestly, so I don't really care. But the way I get to my answer here is because a series that I absolutely loved and that had the potential to become a favorite of all time, Realm of the Elderlings, I felt had a terrible ending, and I would have rathered never have read that and just had that series go not have that ending than have that ending. And for me, it does stop at book 9 now. This is where I'm going to stop forever with that series. So I feel like, honestly, I'd rather unfinished than to have a terrible ending because, yeah, it sucks if you don't get an ending, but if it's terrible, I just feel like it's worsens the good experience you had. So, yeah, that's where I would go. Number 6, would you rather cut your reading time in half or cut your book buying budget in half? Well, I feel like I've done both, honestly, and I have to say cutting my book budget is much easier and much preferable to cutting my reading time because I've had my reading time be a little bit more sporadic and in some ways cut with having a baby, but also I'd been working on cutting my book budget, not even specifically because of that, just focusing on reading what I have and not buying more stuff because I have so many books that I need to get to. And so I'd already been really working on cutting down my book budget and not spending a lot of money on books. And so, yeah, I feel like that's a really easy one. I would definitely rather cut my book budget in half. Number 7, would you rather be forced to listen to audiobooks at 3 times speed or listen to audiobooks at half time speed? Listen, if I have to listen to audiobooks at half speed, I'm not listening to audiobooks, so I would go with 3. That is kind of ridiculously fast, although I feel like I'd get used to it because depending on the narrator, I can get some audiobooks fairly fast. And I usually go between 1.5, 1.75 is my comfortable regular, where it just sounds pretty normal. But some narrators I've got up to 2-ish in there, so I feel like I'd get used to 3. I'd have to probably go back and listen to something I read or listened to before to try to get used to it first, but I'd get used to it. But half speed, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. Number 8, would you rather only be able to read physically or only be able to listen to audiobooks? So, another audio question, but I'm so happy that I have audiobooks in my life, and especially the last couple of months, audiobooks are the only reason I'm getting any significant reading in because it's really easy to pop in. Or, like last night where I finished my audiobook at 5:30 in the morning because I was up with the baby, and so I popped it in and went with there. And so it's just audiobooks are the only reason I'm getting any reading done right now. However, I just feel like I would be so sad if I could never read physical books anymore because despite how much I do love audio and I do love digital, just something about physically reading, especially physically reading a book that I love, I would miss that so much. And so I'd have to go with physical, although I would get way less reading done, especially right now because without audio, not nearly as much. So, yeah. Number 9, would you rather be stuck reading a mix of 3 and 4-star books or a mix of 1 and 5-star books? So this I feel like is also one that sounds like it'd be a bigger decision, but I've done it. For example, July was mostly 3 4-stars. There wasn't a lot of really big standouts there. So it's a pretty good reading month. I enjoyed a lot of what I read, but there was nothing that oh, this is so good. And it's those amazing books, those 5-star books that really make me want to keep reading. So I think definitely go with the mix of 1 and 5. Now, assuming I can DNF, I feel like this would be kind of like a superpower because I could just start a book and knowing that I'm either going to 1 or 5-star it, I feel like I would immediately know And like I just go to the bookstore and like just open up a book, try it, and just see like does this immediately stand out to me or not, and have a pretty foolproof system. Or otherwise, I don't feel like I have to get that far. So the fact that I would end up DNFing a lot of books, but also having like everything I don't DNF basically would end up being a 5-star read. That's pretty great, honestly. That's pretty great. So the only thing it'd be a mix of is gets back into like series. Like I don't know how that works with a series, like because most series are not every book is a 5-star, even if it's a favorite. So that'd be interesting there. But yeah, definitely that. And then finally, number 10, would you rather only watch your favorite booktuber or watch everyone besides your favorite booktuber? So this, I think, also I would go with everybody else besides. And I feel like that's a pretty easy decision for me because most of my favorite booktubers and people are also people that I interact with in Discord, you know, around that kind of thing as well. And so like I would still get to talk to those people, interact with them, you know, get their recommendations, talk to them about books, even if I couldn't watch their channel. So I'd feel bad that I couldn't support them, I guess, by watching their channel, but I'd still, you know, be able to interact. So I feel like, you know, just if I have to cut out one booktuber and I can still probably interact with them, I'll be fine. So that's where I'd go there. All right, so those are the 10 questions. Some of those were really difficult, but all of them interesting. So I'm not going to tag anyone specific because I did not check to see who's actually done this. And by the time this goes out now, because this is going to be way later, I don't want to tag anybody who might have done it in the interim. So if you're seeing this and you haven't done it, go ahead and do the tag. If you don't have a channel, then feel free to answer some of the questions or tell me about any interesting answers you have, or if there are any of these that you really disagreed with me on, had the exact opposite take, I would love to hear from you. Interesting to hear your thoughts on this. But that's it for this one. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description, as always, for the Wizardly Enclave Discord if you want to chat books. Whether any... I did talk about some books. Whether anything I talked about here, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.